There, all done. Darn, the name of the shoes is so faded I can't tell what it is. Maybe Bess and George can help me figure out who made them. Wonder how you're supposed to get this open. Guess Camille liked to collect dolls. What is that?
Hey, Nancy,
What's with the Cheshire Cat grin?
you found Lori.
Yep, she's holed up in the caboose, and as a reward for finding her, she let me have this. It's a letter from Jake to his niece in which he leaves clues telling her how to find his mine. Only the clues are extremely obtuse.
You found Lori, you got the letter with all the clues. Guess you don't need us anymore.
Oh, Joe, quit pouting. Want any help?
Are you kidding? You bet I do.
Now you're talking.
It stands to reason that the only person other than Jake who had to have known the location of Jake's mine was the engineer on Jake's train.
Very true.
Not necessarily. Jake might not have told him the exact location. Maybe he just had him drop him off somewhere nearby.
Well, still, we'd be way ahead of the game if we knew where that drop-off point was.
If the engineer had any surviving relatives, we may be in luck.
The guy died more than 100 years ago. How are we supposed to find out his name?
Maybe Charlena What's-Her-Face could tell us how to go about it.
Good idea, Frank. I'll ask her. I found a diagram for some kind of contraption that Jake designed, but to operate it you need his pickaxe and some kind of lamp or lantern, which it looks like he gave to somebody named Buell.
Buell? Joe, show her!
Show her what?
That old picture we found!
Okay.
We found this on the bookshelf. See? Buell's Supplies and Pawn Shop. That's gotta be the same Buell Jake gave his axe and lantern to.
Yeah, 100 years ago. And the guy was a pawnbroker, Frank. The stuff's probably long gone.
Or maybe it's still somewhere in Copper Gorge.
Well, that's where we're headed, so let's just hope for the best.
Right.
Balducci wants me to share everything I find out about Jake Hurley with him.
I'll bet he does.
He just doesn't want you to show him up again.
Yeah, he wants you to do all the legwork so at the last minute, bam, he can swoop in and grab all the credit.
I wouldn't tell him a thing, Nance.
Unless it's to get lost.
Talk to you later.
Sounds good.
It looks like this thing opens up, but how?
Yes?
I found Lori. She's in the caboose. You were right. She disappeared because she wanted to see which of us would find her first.
And you won. Congratulations.
The others on the train, John Gray and that police detective, do you know them very well?
I don't know them at all. Needless to say, I don't watch television, so I've never even seen Mr. Gray before. Although I do know that his profession, if you can call it that, is rife with crackpots. As for Mr. Balducci, from what I've read, his success in solving those robberies was less a matter of talent and more a matter of being in the right place at precisely the right time.
In other words, you don't think he deserves all the attention he's getting?
No. You and those two Boy Scouts you're with would make better detectives. Is that all, dear?
How would I go about finding out the name of Jake's train engineer?
If you're smart, you'd ask me. And because my work is going surprisingly well, during my next break, I'll log on to my archives at home and see what I can turn up.
That'd be great, thank you.
Whoever invented the cellular modem, that's whom you should thank, dear.
Did you know that Lori wants to be a romance novelist?
Doesn't everyone?
Have you discussed any of her ideas with her?
No. Could we please talk about something a little more pleasant?
I'll let you get back to your writing.
My publisher thanks you.
There, with any luck, I just opened the stove in the dining car. James Thurston.
Nancy, you missed it!
Missed what?
The argument of the century!
Joe, he's exaggerating.
Aw, come on, you heard them! They were ready to tear each other to shreds!
Who?
Charlena and Lori!
All we heard was the tail end of it, and unfortunately, we really couldn't make out what they were saying.
So you don't know what they were arguing about?
No.
But whatever it was, both of them were absolutely out of their minds, livid.
And it would probably be a good idea to find out why.
Let me look into it. I'll talk to you later, okay?
You know where to find us.
Back already?
I think I know the name of Jake Hurley's engineer. James Thurston.
Great! What else do you know about him?
Well, nothing.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, finding out more about him will give us something to do. We'll look into it.
See you in a bit.
You better.
An eagle. Where else have I seen an eagle? This must be how Lori disappeared.
More questions?
Would you like to see the letter that Lori gave me as a reward for finding her?
The one in which Jake Hurley supposedly tells his niece how to find his lost mine? No, thank you. I happily leave it to you to try to solve the mystery of his disappearance. You can afford to look foolish, dear. I can't.
Aren't you even going to try finding out what happened to Jake Hurley?
No time. The only reason I haven't insisted that Lori release me from all this silliness is there's always the possibility that what happened to him has the makings of a bestseller, although I highly doubt it.
What were you and Lori arguing about earlier today?
Lori and I? We weren't arguing. We were simply discussing a topic about which both of us are passionate, that's all.
Were you discussing her wanting to be a romance novelist?
No. And even if we were, that's really none of your business. I know that sounds harsh, but really, Nancy, eavesdropping is so tacky.
Actually, it was Frank and Joe Hardy who overheard you. They said I should talk to you before they gave me all the gory details, but since you obviously don't want to tell me your side of the story, I'll just have to get the scoop from them.
No, you don't have to do that. A storyline that Lori submitted to me found its way into my last book, despite the fact that she never received compensation for it. She's reading the book now, and when she got to that part, she freaked.
You stole one of her ideas?
She had no business sending me unsolicited material. But technically, yes. Now, legally, she can't prove anything, and I'm certainly not about to admit anything. And it's not as if she needs the money. But that's what we were arguing about. For what it's worth, I'm going to talk to this producer I know to see if he'll cast Laurie in his next movie. It'll help ease my conscience, and who knows? She could wind up being a star. I mean, she is blonde.
Why are you so sure that Jake's story wouldn't make a bestseller?
His story is an all-too-common one. A man wanders off into the desert in search of gold and never returns. Why? He either doesn't have enough food or water, or he encounters hostile natives.
But why was his train found out in the middle of nowhere with just the dead engineer on board?
That does make the story a little more interesting. My guess is the engineer got tired of waiting for Jake to return, took off in the train to get help, and died of a heart attack along the way, after which the train rolled to a stop in Blue Moon Canyon. Anyone experienced enough to single-handedly run a steam engine would have been quite a bit older than Jake.
What do you think happened to Camille?
She probably died of something mundane like pneumonia or even measles. Now, if it was wintertime when she died, and they were in the mountains, Jake no doubt kept her body on the train for months before he buried her, which is rather delicious in a morbid sort of way.
Well, I'll let you go.
My publisher thanks you.
More pipes to connect. Here we go.
What's up?
I found Laurie safe and sound in the caboose, so I guess those vibes you got about her being in serious trouble were wrong.
Strange. My vibes are never wrong. What's even stranger is I'm still getting them. So maybe they're not about Laurie. Maybe they're about you.
Me? I'm not in any trouble.
Trust me. Either you or Laurie is, or soon will be, in big trouble.
Could you be more specific?
Unfortunately, no.
I saw a bunch of weird glowing lights outside the window of the sleeping car.
Really? Actually, I'm not surprised.
Charlena said Jake Hurley used to see them too, only he attributed them to his dead wife, Camille.
They're probably some form of piezoelectricity. See, my guess is quartz crystals in the ground are being compressed as the train passes over them, and the resulting voltage, called piezoelectricity, is manifesting itself as glowing lights, probably because of some quirk in the train shape or in the composition of the metals used in its construction. It was custom-built, remember?
Whatever it's called, it was unnerving to say the least.
Take it from me, old Mother Nature was capable of some pretty scary stuff.
Well, I'll catch you later.
Pleasure talking to you.
Glad you dropped in. Lori told me she'd given you a letter from Jake Hurley that says how to find his mine.
That's right. You can read it if you want.
Lori should have given that to me. I mean, I'm the trained professional around here. Let me take a look. I've seen enough. 2 words. Useless. Those are just the rantings of a guy who spent way too much of his life swirling mud around in pans under the hot sun. 5-star nut job.
Lori says she found this letter in a wastebasket.
Exactly where it belongs.
Thanks for your help.
Don't mention it.
Whoa! Somebody must have thrown the emergency brake.
The question is, did somebody throw the brake? Or something?
Oh, Joe, now you sound like Lori.
Hey, I was the first one on the scene, and I saw no one.
Who was the next person on the scene?
John Gray. Then Balducci came bursting through one door while Frank and the engineer came through the other. Boy, was that guy ticked. He said the train could have derailed. He reset the brake, muttered a few choice words, then headed back to the engine just as you and Lori showed up.
Everybody was there except Charlena. I don't think she left her laptop the whole time.
Do you think she could have thrown the brake and snuck back to her laptop without your seeing her?
Not likely, but possible, I guess.
The question is, why? What did she or anybody else stand to gain by stopping the train?
Answer? Nothing. Which is why I think we should at least consider the possibility that something less human in nature may be at work here.
Ah, Joe.
I'm going to see if Balducci's done dusting for fingerprints. Catch you later.
More questions?
Do you have a theory as to who pulled the emergency brake?
Well, I know it wasn't me. I assume it wasn't you, and I highly doubt it was Lori. So that leaves those 2 friends of yours, Mr. Gray and Mr. Balducci.
What do you think their motive was?
I don't know about your friends, but perhaps those other 2 simply thought it would be fun. Boys will be boys.
I should get going.
Let me know if you run across anything juicy.
Looks like Tino's through dusting for fingerprints.
Hello?
Hi, Beth.
Hey, what's going on?
Someone threw the emergency brake and almost derailed the train.
Someone tried to sabotage the train?
Well, it looks that way, although I sure don't know why.
Maybe someone wants Jake's gold all to himself, or herself. That doesn't make sense, Bess. Nobody even knows where Jake's mine is yet. I know! Maybe the gold from his mine is already on the train somewhere. So, Jake stashes a pile of gold ore on his train, but so far the only person who's managed to trip over it is the saboteur? I don't think so.
Charlena and Lori had this big, huge argument, and you'll never guess why.
Lori called Charlena a hack.
No.
Charlena called Lori an airhead.
No.
Bess, she doesn't really want you to guess, okay? Tell us, Nan.
Well, it seems that Lori sent Charlena a bunch of story ideas, one of which Charlena used in her latest book without telling or paying Lori.
Charlena stole something Lori wrote? That's incredible. No, the fact that Lori wrote something that Charlena thought was worth stealing. That's what's incredible.
It makes me think that Charlena is a lot more devious than she appears.
Yeah, better keep an eye on her, Nan.
I better go.
Remember, when in doubt, call.
What's up?
So, are you making any progress in here?
Oh yeah, not only am I getting some real unusual EMRs, that's electromagnetic readings, but take a look at this.
You've got something?
I set up a camera and took some time-lapse photos. Sometimes I was in the room, sometimes I wasn't, but somewhere along the line, I managed to get a shot of Camille.
Where? You don't mean that little blob, do you?
Yep, that's Camille.
Okay.
You're skeptical. That's cool. Just remember, the key word when it comes to ghostly phenomena is energy. That blob is the result of Camille's residual life force, spirit if you will, reacting with the chemicals in the photographic paper.
Couldn't it just be a flaw in the photographic paper?
Okay, it could be that too, but it's not. Trust me.
Well, I'll catch you later.
Take care.
What's going on?
Did you find any fingerprints on the emergency brake handle?
None that were any help, thanks to Casey Jones up there. I told the old geezer not to touch anything, but he went and got his big, fat, oily paw prints all over the place. If we didn't need him to drive the train, I'd charge him with obstruction of justice.
So you have no idea who threw the brake?
Whoa, I didn't say that. As a matter of fact, I found this. Probably fell out of the perp's pocket while he was yanking on the handle.
Looks like some kind of thermometer.
Yeah, like the kind a certain ghost hunter uses on that bogus show of his.
You think John Gray threw the brake? But why would he do that?
Because they're thinking about axing his show, that's why. I checked with this buddy of mine in L.A. Gray's got to come up with something real big real soon, or he's toast. And you can't get much bigger than a train with a spooky past that's prone to strange accidents, now can you?
Have you confronted John with your suspicions?
All in due time. I always like to get my ducks in a row before I make an arrest.
You're going to arrest him?
Hey, the train could have derailed. We're talking reckless endangerment, attempted assaults, maybe even attempted murder. John Gray wanted publicity. That's exactly what I'm gonna give him.
Thanks for your help.
Not a problem.
Hey, glad you stopped in. You gotta listen to this.
What have you got?
I put this digital recorder in the corner where Camille showed up in that picture and turned it on so it would just keep recording. Now when you play it back at normal volume, all you hear is background noise. But when you turn the volume way up and run the signal through a filter or two, hear that?
I hear something. It kind of sounds like a woman singing.
Not just any woman.
Camille.
So be careful what you say in here. She's listening.
Are you by any chance missing a small digital thermometer?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I am. When I went through the box I'd packed them in, that one over there, I came up one short. I was hoping to set up at least 6 in here so I could check for cold spots. How did you know I was missing one?
Because Tino Balducci found it by the emergency brake handle when he was dusting it for fingerprints, and now he thinks you're the one who pulled it.
That's ridiculous. I didn't have any reason to pull the emergency brake.
Is it true that your show is in danger of being canceled?
Newsflash, my show was canceled. Happened last night. But what nobody knows yet is that it's been picked up by a major TV network. Not only am I still on the air, but I'm sitting prettier than ever. Any other questions?
Were you in this room the whole time prior to that emergency brake thing?
Of course not. I made a couple of trips to my compartment in the sleeping car to get more equipment. But did I get an overpowering urge to pull the emergency brake while I was there? No.
Thanks for the chat.
Pleasure talking to you.
That looks just like the stuff John Gray has his thermometers packed in.
What's going on?
You're the one who pulled that emergency brake, aren't you?
Me? What, are you joking?
Care to explain how packing material from the box those thermometers were in wound up on the floor over there?
You're just some teenage nobody. I don't have to listen to this.
You're right, you don't. Neither do the other passengers. But unless you give me a good reason not to, I think I'll tell them anyway.
Look, maybe I was a little hasty, pointing a finger at the ghost guy like that. Maybe all those lies people have been spreading are starting to get to me. Maybe I thought it would help if I got a little positive press by solving a crime aboard a haunted train. Maybe I apologize. And, maybe you can see fit not to let any of this go beyond this room?
Well, no harm done, I guess.
Great. Well, what else can I do for you?
You've been a big help.
Don't mention it.
Hey, how's it going?
Were you able to find anything out about Jake's engineer, that James Thurston guy?
Good news and bad news. The good news is he had a wife in Copper Gorge, so he may have had children.
The bad news is our internet service provider stopped providing before we could use our cell phones to find out anything else.
That's okay. We can do more checking when we get to Copper Gorge.
Right.